Pitch to Pro is the official podcast of USL Arkansas. This will be our platform to tell our story about the club and the special place that we call home, Northwest Arkansas. This is a journey. We want to bring you along for the ride. We'll share what's going on behind the curtain, help educate the community at large about soccer, our league, and give updates on the progress of the club along the way. Together, we'll explore and unpack our journey to professional soccer, the magic that is NWA, our community, and talk all things soccer from on the pitch to behind the scenes, telling the story of our club. Pitch to Pro podcast is proudly sponsored by podcastvideos.com. Podcastvideos.com is Northwest Arkansas's premier podcast recording studio. Equipped with industry-leading equipment, the recording studio and services save you time, money, and hassle. They are dedicated to helping you create, record, and publish high-quality podcasts for your audience. Be sure to check them out today at podcastvideos.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Pitch to Pro podcast. I'm your host, Wes Harris, Managing Director for USL Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas's professional soccer club playing in the United Soccer League. Today, guys, we're graced with the presence of one of our USL Arkansas co-founders, Mr. Chris Martinovic, here with me for what I think is going to be an awesome discussion. Listen, Chris, first of all, thank you for being here.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Secondly, it's in your contract. You have to be here. Secondly, it's really hard, but also not hard to believe at the exact same time, theory of relativity here, that we have been public as a club for just over a year. We hit our year mark on July 12th. And so that's what this episode is going to be. We're here. Chris has been at this for a lot longer than a year. But we've been at this for a year out in the public, working every day, really, really hard and diligently across a lot of different fronts. And I thought it was just a really cool time to come back in and make this episode around, let's take a look back and take stock and be appreciative, grateful, and proud of the work that we have done together with our community. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today.
I tell you, a year, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like you said, I started thinking about this idea in 2019, but what we've done in a year because of you, because of Warren, because of the community, as we've kind of come together, it's actually amazing. And I know it's what we're going to talk a lot about, but when you think about it, the traction that the community has jumped behind this, the excitement we keep hearing from it, the growth of the game, that everything has been just nice tailwind for this community. And so super excited. Love to jump in.
Awesome. So let's go back. I mean, if you kick it back all the way back to a year, July 12th, 2023 will go down in infamy as the day that we announced to Northwest Arkansas our intentions to bring, a United Soccer League, professional men's and women's club here, Championship and Super League, to Northwest Arkansas and the region. We had a fantastic day. We had community leaders. We had big names out there helping us, state representatives. We had the president and actually this now CEO of the league, Justin Papadakis, flew out from Tampa to come and show support. He's super excited and bullish about this market as well. And so we had just a phenomenal day, a really hot day.
Very hot.
But we had
much more comfortable right now.
Yes, very, very comfortable now.
These scarves were not very comfortable in the 98-degree weather in July in the afternoon.
Feels like 108.
Yeah,
I mean, it was. We had over 75 people. Yeah. Really intimate, but also fantastic event. Our supporters group finally had something to cheer about and get together, and they even made their own shirts, if you remember. Yeah. Which was great to see. So that kicked really everything off. So that was just a fantastic event. But we got to work right away, right? And we made really clear from the get-go that this isn't our club. This is not our club. This is not Chris's club. This is not Wes, Warren. We're just the stewards. We're the ones behind the scenes trying to make this happen for our community. That is who this club is for, and that is their club. And so what we did is got to work on our listening sessions. So talk a little bit about what we wanted to do with those. Yep. Where did we go? And I'll chime in as well. But
Awesome. I tell you, it first of all, just before we even go into there, these projects and starting new teams, new stadiums, new facilities, new organizations, they take years, right? And Warren and I were just talking about this, right? You were part of this conversation. Most of those projects that he's been part of, which is like 6 or 7, I think, and by this point in his career, which is amazing, right? They take 3 to 5 years. It's very common. And it's just because there's so many moving parts in it, right? And it takes a village, literally, in our case, a town and a community, to do it. And we're the stewards of it. The 3 of us get to lead that process, but we only lead it with all this great information and feedback and insight and pushing and data from the community. And that's really where the listening sessions, I think, kicked this off really the right way. Yeah. Before we did the listening sessions, it was us saying, this is a really great thing for community. We would talk to people, and people gave us great feedback. We already had that. But once we got to the listening sessions, you really kind of learned about the heart and soul of this future club, right? And what did people tell us, right? They told us they love Northwest Arkansas. We came here from XYZ community. We never thought we'd stay here. We didn't know much about Arkansas. We didn't know anything about Northwest Arkansas. And that all shifted as they became members of the community. And it took 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year. But then a lot of people said, I don't want to leave this community. Right. I love where I live. You did it.
Yeah. Case in point.
2006, I came down, forced to move. Right. To be really honest and transparent, like a lot of us. But said, hey, it's 18 months. You could do that, right? Right. I said, okay, sure. And then after about 6 months, Marcy and I looked at each other and said, this is a really nice area, great place to raise a family. Love it. And then we talked about it. The part that we didn't love was that we drove all over the middle of America trying to go find professional sports. That was the only area that we wanted to enhance. And so now we're doing that, right? Exactly. But the listening sessions were amazing because once we learned about things like, hey, we live in Northwest Arkansas. There was so much pride about Northwest Arkansas as a community. It was much less than even I had thought was going to be more from Bentonville, Rogers, Fayetteville. We heard very little of that. There's still some of that, but I tell you, it was like, that blew me away, that everyone was so united in this concept of this community. And so that was a great point of feedback for us. We heard that they love nature, they love outdoors, they love hiking, they love the growth of this community, they love the forward-looking aspect of this community. They're so curious to see what this community is going to be. Yeah,
the potential, 10, 15
right? Years.
The potential of what
so much about potential. They already love living here, but they also love that they get to feel some big city amenities that maybe other communities our size don't get. And so there was a lot about this forward-looking growth, opportunity, and how do we kind of help play a role in that?
Yeah, and then we heard from a lot of different people in a lot of different communities. We held multiple in Spanish with various communities in Springdale and Rogers. We had one with Marshallese community, which, fantastic experience. And, can't wait to continue to engage those different communities, all communities within NWA, because as we know, soccer is the world's game, right? And so that was just it was a sprint that turned into a marathon, but we learned so much and got to connect with so many people right out of the gate. And that just set the stage for a lot of the learning that then turned into more online surveys, more social polls, more questions, more this, and that just kicked off our process. And what we have tried to do is continue to keep the community engaged along the way at every phase. And so that's what we did there. And that turned into, that started to kick off our branding process. It wasn't just about who do you want your club to be? What do you want out of this? Why do you love Northwest Arkansas? But a lot of that sentiment fed into, well, what is the identity of this club? What is the brand going to be? What's the name? And so what's
our mission, vision, and values? Right?
That's what kicked it off
for an organization.
Yeah. Right. So we partnered with Stoneward, local Arkansas company that has experience in pro sports, in particular soccer, and they helped us. It was we always joke, but are very serious. It was one of the best decisions we made.
Amazing.
Remove us from the process, let experts guide us through it.
Yep.
And they have just been incredible all the way through. And one of the first things that they taught us was you don't get to a name and a brand without establishing who you want to be when you grow up, kind of a thing, and what you stand for. So that was our mission, vision, values. And
that process was a process. Going into it, I think you probably less Warren because he's been through it. Me and you blindly kind of thought, we should be able to figure this out fairly quickly, do some listening sessions, get some good data, feedback, and then we'll make a decision that will kind of be it. And man, were we wrong, right?
Yeah.
It is way harder than you think. So much harder. Think about our community. It's people from all over the country and globe that have come here, some very new, some for more years, some for 20, 30 years, right? But a lot of people in the last 10 years kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And everybody has different views of it still. And they love the quality of life that can they love that part of it. And unfortunately, you had a great line. You said, we can't really name the team Quality of Life FC.
Or Save Money Than Better FC. I think there may be a certain company that might have a problem with that.
Yeah, that wouldn't work. But that's why those listening sessions were great, because we could dig deeper underneath that and ask questions. And we got to really emotional points of feedback for us.
Yeah.
And that took a while, though. It took a while to really get there. And that's what's, I think, helped us to the point where we are now. And we're getting closer to that point where we can start talking to the public about what our brand is, right? And so we'll talk a little more about that in terms of next steps. But we're getting close, people. We're getting really, really close.
Really close.
Yeah.
If this is the first time that you're listening to us and hearing about it, mission, vision, value, I'll read through it very briefly.
Perfect.
So mission, to challenge the ordinary and cultivate the extraordinary using the beautiful game to unify, uplift, and propel the Northwest Arkansas community. Our vision, who do we want to be long-term, grow up? That's what that's about. More than a club, we will be the premier creator of unforgettable moments and enduring memories impacting our community both on and off the pitch. I just want to make a quick comment. Nothing about what we just said about our mission, which is why you get up in the morning, and our vision is long-term, who do you want to be?
Yep.
Nothing about that was really about winning soccer games.
That's right.
It was all about making our community a better place to live, work, and play, using the beautiful game, soccer, as our vehicle of change and impact. And so that's what this club is going to be about in everything that we do. And then speaking about everything I do, our values, authentic, upholding the courage to be unique and delivering unwavering truth, belonging, one of my favorite ones. Everyone is welcome, and we are all united by a common goal. Soccer is the world's game, period, stop. That's it. Commitment to excellence, ensuring every action is intentional and heartfelt. Passion, a fervent dedication to Northwest Arkansas, the club, and our community. And compassion, living with empathy and a kind heart, going beyond ourselves. So that is who we are, who we want to be, what are we about. And that's not just us. That's who you guys, the community, Northwest Arkansas, said from all of your feedback pulled together into a what are we about as a community, and who do we want our club to stand for? So thank you again for everyone's input who participated in anything, thousands of responses online, hours given, time away from jobs, family to come and participate. We truly do.
Late at nights for these calls and all those things. Can you repeat the everyone again? Because that one to me is so powerful.
So it's really simple, belonging.
Yeah.
And I think that this is also part of why I love the game of soccer, and that we call it a club and not a team, is everyone. And this is actually, you guys can see this in our releases and stuff and on our site. Everyone is capitalized, and it's for a reason. Everyone is welcome, and we are all united by a common goal.
And the reason I wanted you to repeat that is because when you think about the game of soccer, it's the most simple game that any child can actually play. You literally need a round ball. It needs to be a soccer ball. It can be something round and space. Some grassy area or a flat area or indoor area. You don't need a full 100-yard. You can play when you're a little kid in a 20 by 20 space, But that's it. And so, as you look at my scarf, and you guys know, where my Croatian team's underneath. This is Hajduk split. We just signed Ivan Rakitic, former Barcelona star. So
big signing.
Yeah, big signing. So wearing the new jerseys, Adidas. But the reason why I connect that back is when you go sometimes to other countries and all different stages of some very developed and undeveloped countries, doesn't matter. Like the game is the game.
It's it
really
fire.
You know, it really is. And whether you come from a rich family, and most of the best players in the world come from poverty in a lot of cases, because they don't need much for soccer to start, right?
You hear about a lot of it, like when they're playing in the streets with their bare feet, right? Like we couldn't afford shoes. Like how many times have you heard that from some of the greatest players in the world?
I think, you know, we need to kind of keep swinging that pendulum in the U.S. to provide that opportunity for everyone to be able to play it. And we're not there yet, right? For a whole bunch of other factors, pay to play, structure and organizations and leagues and all those things. But it really is, when you boil it down, the simplest game in the world. And you can go play and get a game and pick up between 3-on-3s or 11-on-11, and you could play it anywhere almost. So that's why I always love this game, and I love that we incorporated that belonging and everyone into it.
I love that too. Yeah, I mean that was such a special thing for me, and I know you and Warren and even our community, and the feedback was all around that point. But you know, that was kind of the start of our engagement with the community, right? Was around soliciting feedback. But we also wanted to make sure that we were out in the community and present and active community members as a club, even though we're small today. And we formed our street team in partnership with, you know, some of the University of Arkansas students. So shout out to their sports marketing program and helping us get the word out there and providing opportunities, real world opportunities for these students to come out and participate and be a part of something from the ground up. But I mean, we participated in well over, I think, 50 events in our first year. That's almost an event a week. And then you factor in, you know, the holidays and and like bad weather and winter where there's really not that many events going on. But so it really was more multiple events per week kind of thing when you think about it. But the point,
and you would say, Wes, but you did a lot of these, and with leading in some ways, even if you weren't always there, organizing it, leading it, getting it executed. So really do appreciate that, and you're also just helping grow the game, little by little. It's helping grow the game, not just our club, as our community, but you're also helping grow the game every single time we're out there.
Yeah, I fully agree, and thank you, and a big shout out to our street team and our events and club coordinator, Crystal Schmidt. I'll give her some love and a shout out there. Love you, Crystal. And, you know, not just engaging, but building. I mean, we had to tell people what we were doing and what we were about, and building a fan base and engaging with them and telling them what we're about.
Watch parties and listening, you know, communicating at those things and doing events and giving out free scarves and, you know, and just continue to educate and build.
And one of my favorite ones was our fundraiser for the King family, that we were able to not just engage, but also impact our community, which we hope we can do a heck of a lot more and will do going forward. But
what I'd love to just say, like, for a startup that we are, we're building this thing while we fly, while we operate it, right? And so that's the model. And anybody who's ever been an entrepreneur or started a company, you know what we're talking about. It's hard, right? Yeah. It's hard. There's so many things that you never have enough time in the day to do everything you need to do, right? And so you're constantly prioritizing. And so the things like the King family is a thing that we could have easily said, you know what, like, man, we don't have a lot of money, first of all, at the beginning of our venture here, and we don't have time, we don't have resources, all those things. But that's one of the things that probably we're the most proud of as a group. And I know the King family is super supportive of what we were able to do, but all we were doing was a voice in the community to help rally this amazing community who gives more, like per capita. There's some stats out there that NWA gives like as much as any community in America, if not more.
And that was one of the most special parts about it, I think, was not just the impact that we were able to have, but it was how the community came together in such short order together.
The holidays.
Able to raise well over $5,000 for them and furnish their home, and, you know, provide that safe space for them and security and just a little bit of help, you know, for one family that, you know, was just really going through it, and just such a special family. So shout out to the King family again, and hope you guys are doing well. I know you are. You text me every now and again.
Love it.
So that's the kind of impact, though, that's what we mean by using the beautiful game as a vehicle for making Northwest Arkansas a better place to live, work, and play, and have an impact. So hope to do more of that in the future. One of the other big things that occupies a lot of, especially mine and Warren's time, is stadium development.
Yeah. Stadium itself is a big thing.
And that
topic is a big topic.
Everybody wants to know when we're breaking ground and all that stuff. I promise at the end of this, we're going to do a little bit of a club update. So But we released some images and pretty quickly too. I mean, that came together in terms of, what are we thinking? What could we think about in terms of what should we expect out of a venue?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the goals for that.
What I'll start off by saying about the stadium is where I thought before we got to the listening engagement and community sessions, where I thought the stadium would and should be is not where we are today.
Yeah.
And that's a really good thing, by the way, right? Because again, it's we talk about it all the time. Like we could have thought of a branding and kind of gone down that road. That's completely opposite of where we should really be going, right? Mm-hmm. And the stadium's the same way. This is a community center. This is a community pillar. This is going to be something that's used by the community multiple nights of the year. Whatever number you want to say, call it up to 100 nights a year potentially, right? And more, right, if we can. Like, that's the goal of this thing. So soccer is like the tip of the spear to get this multi-use facility activated in the center, in the heart of Pinnacle Hills and Rogers, pretty center of the Northwest Arkansas community. But we're going to be able to do so many things that we cannot do right now.
Yeah.
Right. And so we could talk more about that. But the process of the stadium has just been, like, I would say, surprising to me how many steps are required in it. Just because me and you haven't got through it and Warren has. But those getting, and thankfully Warren has done this before, so he has contacts in so many different areas.
He does.
Of stadiums, which is multiple levels. We have a stadium that we think is going to serve our community, right? And that means we have a corporate community, we have a family community, we have an international community, we have a soccer fan that wants something different than the corporate fan wants. And this stadium that we released some of the initial renderings on meets those needs. And really can be one of the premier stadiums in USL.
Yeah,
like that's the beautiful part about it. Like, think about that. Like, in Northwest Arkansas, middle of the country, we could potentially have literally outside of an MLS Division I level, talk about, with USL, like we can have the premier stadium in the country. Like, that's the vision that we have. So we're not striving for just be okay, have a good stadium. This is our community demands and expects more, and that's how we act and we treat ourselves here, and that stadium should represent us that way.
And so much of what we know as soccer fans is so awesome about the experience is going to a game live. Has the power to be, kind of paradigm shifting, life altering. And I don't want to hyperbolize, but people fall in love with a sport when they go to a game, right? And a lot of that in soccer specifically, in terms of what's the differentiator, is the atmosphere that's created when it's done right, right? And you get this community packed in the stadium in the right way. And so all of that, a lot of your feedback, the atmosphere, engaging our supporters group, has been so intentional because we know how important it is for our long-term success, but also to deliver on a product that we want to deliver on for our community and what they expect.
And all aspects of that community, right? Some folks said, I want suites and I want lounges. Great, let's build those in.
Right.
And then what did our supporters group say? I want standing behind the goal, just somewhere where I could put a beer in.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Right? And so our supporters group, which has started to come together and form a leadership within that group and have an organization in place now from with Colin when he started this thing as a Facebook page, 4+ years ago. Yeah. To now they have a leadership organization, and I'm not even sure how many members they have now in total.
I think it's close to 3,000 on their Facebook group. It's wild.
It's totally wild, right? And so they are going to bring that energy, that exactly what we just talked about. Like when regular fans that maybe don't know soccer go to a game, they're going to feed off of the supporters group,
right?
With what they're able to bring in terms of energy, and then that will carry over. So really, really cool. The sport itself is in person, is the best sport you can be at. It's kind of like going to a hockey game. A lot of people say right away, we watched hockey on TV, you might not love it as much, you can't, and you go to one in person and you're hooked. So
exactly. And so, the stadium is continuing to evolve, and we'll give you guys a little update there. But, I think we've gotten overwhelming excitement and feedback from it. And that's just what we think it could look like.
Typically the first question we get.
Yeah.
Ad and branding.
That, branding, and season tickets.
Yeah.
So we'll get to all those things.
Yeah.
Don't worry at the end of this. What else did we do? We launched a podcast.
Yep.
Hello. And, we've had some pretty cool guests on here. The mayor of Rogers, Mr. Greg Hines, Mayor Greg Hines. We've had Nelson Peacock recently. Big figure in the direction of where NWA is going and influencing, and in the right way, right, with the community's feedback and all the work that they're doing. We've had, just a ton. Marshall Lee's Soccer Federation. We've had so many incredible guests, and I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to every single person that has come on this show. If I haven't said your name, I'm thanking you now, and appreciate every single listen. This has just been so fun for me to get back into this and help give people a behind the scenes and talk about more than just the sport and more than just our project, but talk about and give NWA another platform and really talk about the place that we love. So shout out there. But just to give you guys some stats in terms of some of the PR, right? Like there's earned media and then there's paid media. Earned media, I mean, we've had well over 220 articles written about USL Arkansas since we started, and I'm sure that number is outdated at this point.
Yeah.
And those publications reach on a monthly basis in aggregate over 225 million people, unique readers per month. That's astounding for a club that
doesn't have a PR organization built into it and
so
media group, right?
I want to give it, I do want to say a big thank you to our PR partners, Resplendent, now AM Group, and Andrea Ritchie and her team that have helped us there. Local, NWA based, small firm just like us that are making a big impact. So a big shout out to the work that they do. We have
our partners are huge.
Right?
We can't do this.
We can't do this alone by ourselves.
Them, Stone Ward, we've talked about, right? I mean, just on and on.
Yeah. So, I mean, we started a podcast. Yep. We've done some great work in the PR sphere, and it just shows and reiterates how excited people are about this project, I think, right? Like that just reinforces. It's more fuel to what wakes us up in the morning about, doing the work.
And that has translated into some amazing numbers when you talk about like social, right?
Yep.
And just our following, what is it now? Over 6,000?
Well, right? Over 6,000 in social media, which I know that doesn't sound like a lot when you look at stars like Cristiano Ronaldo or Taylor Swift or whoever. I want to contextualize this for you guys. We had, I won't name the club, but another championship USL club that had been at it for a year. We had more social following, and they're a much bigger market than we are in Northwest Arkansas in terms of population. We had more social followers in 1 month than they had in a full year. Just to level set everybody. And then we built on that, and we're now well over 6,000.
So if anyone ever says, is soccer going to work in Northwest Arkansas? Which, by the way, man, we hear that so little now. When I first came down here in 2006, right? Because the game has just grown so much and so many transplants we have, all those factors. But those are just metrics that prove it, right? And in our database, in terms of signing up, we have over 5,500 already, folks that are engaged and voting on names and giving us constant feedback and information. So the community growth and contribution has been off the charts and higher than our expectations. We couldn't be happier.
Could not be happier.
Yeah.
And not to mention, the league is doing a great job as well in terms of their growth. I mean, they have new TV deals left and right with CBS, with Peacock now, and streaming on the U.S. Super League.
Still with ESPN as well, so you have multiple sources.
They their first linear network CBS match outdrew the MLS match of the week on Fox that same day. And so at 3X, I think, or close to 3X in terms of viewership between Louisville and Indy 11. So just a lot of tailwinds. Again, the growth of the game, it just speaks to the potential, right? And it's just, again, more fuel. So can't wait. Shout out to the USL Super League getting ready to kick off here in a couple weeks. Their inaugural season. I believe it's August 17th is their first match.
Yeah, so this is the first women's USL professional teams in the highest level in the U.S. soccer in D1
Division
that
one.
will be playing for the first time. So, and we look forward to being part of that down the road.
Exactly. And then one of our more recent wins, or I guess things that we're trying to do here, is this U20 Academy team, which that can be a whole other episode, and it will be, I promise. We'll get everybody up to speed there. But this kind of came together really quick, short order, a little bit of coordination with one of our local clubs. But it was all in the spirit of this is something that we wanted to do longer term, but it came together and was presented to us as an opportunity to help solve a problem in our community, which was our best talent is leaving Northwest Arkansas because they don't have the level of competition and the environment around them and resources to try to get to the next level, whatever that might be, whether that's serious D1 contention for a spot in collegiate career or professional career. And so we had less than a week from when we announced it to tryouts. And we had well over 150.
We moved extremely fast.
Well over 150 people come out and try out from all corners of Northwest Arkansas.
A week before
Southern
tryouts, we
Missouri.
barely knew we were doing this.
It was wild.
Amazing.
And I think we had 10 high schools represented in terms of not just who tried out, players on the team that actually made it. So we do have a roster. They've started training informally. All that's kind of coming. We'll give that bit a little bit here in the update portion, but incredible response and so
what
excited
I love about it. You mentioned that it's, that you have 10 high schools representing, right? So not only there's two problems. One was folks were leaving and players were going on to other communities for academies, MLS, USL, whatever, to get at a higher level and assuming they would get better exposure, and probably right in that case, right? Getting exposure to go play in college or pro. But the other one was within our community, the folks that were here were still fragmented across, the best players were fragmented across multiple clubs, right? And so you never really were able to get the talent together. When you get talent together, that's how they improve and they push each other and they get better, right? And so to me, in terms of development and next steps and progressing Northwest Arkansas to be a national player consistently, we do it in pockets.
That's what I was going to say.
Couple of age groups. We have, people might not realize that, we actually have national level teams in Northwest Arkansas.
We really do.
From the young kids to our
talent is
we have
here,
pockets of it. We don't have it consistently. Maybe some regional and some are other. But to be able to bring those players together is the first time we've been able to do this in Northwest Arkansas. That is under a brand that is uniting the community, and that is so exciting. So you can see it in our voices when we talk about it. This is a team that's going to play MLS academies, scrimmage colleges, get exposure that they would never be able to get if they were doing it in an isolated version with just one club. But to have kids playing from multiple clubs on one team is just absolutely awesome. It's something that I wasn't sure we could do years ago. Like, I thought we might not ever, meaning in Northwest Arkansas, not we as USL before.
Right.
It's like, would Northwest Arkansas ever be able to do that? As a coach of one club team that was pretty successful, I always felt like, man, if we could have gotten XYZ players together, and it's just always so hard, right?
Right.
And this is a way to do it, right? And so we're really excited.
Super excited, and we'll dive into that here in the update. I mean, Chris, let's take a breath. Holy cow, we've done a lot. The community has helped us do a lot, and we couldn't have done it without them, and we're going to continue to lean on them to be engaged and involved.
It takes a village. It really does.
And
everyone.
There's so much, guys, going on behind the scenes. I know we say it a lot, but there really is, and I'm so excited. There's so many different fronts where we're getting so close to the point where we can bring you guys into the loop. And this thing is, I think, going to explode. Yeah. And it's right there. And we're so excited to get and push those balls down those courts on those different fronts. And so let's take the opportunity now in the next 5 to 10 minutes and just talk about, what's on deck, what's coming up, where are we at on certain things.
Yep, let's do it.
And I'll let you I'll chime in, but I'll give you the mic a little bit on some of the things. So let's start with branding. Let's start with branding. That's probably the close. That's like the number one question is what the heck is the team going to be called, guys?
Yeah, we are so close. We will not be releasing the team name today, but man, we are
spoiler
close.
alert.
Yeah, oh, man, we're getting close. So it's the brand is not just what the team's going to be called, right? We talked a little bit about it before, but it's what does it mean and what does the crest symbolize and what are the verbiage and the words and how we integrate that and so we have spent more time than we initially had thought. Sorry, guys, but it is worth it. And it's Stoneboard has been such a great leader in this, and we challenge it constantly, and that's probably why it's taken a little bit longer. And that's a good thing, though, right? Because you only get one chance to ever launch a brand for the first time.
Well, and it's proven more difficult than we thought.
Totally.
It's proven way more difficult than we thought. And so that's why we've continued to challenge and poke holes and actually go seek more feedback. Right. A shout out to our founding fan panel with our focus groups. Yeah. And they've been engaged on multiple occasions.
And sometimes broadening the diversity that we have in that panel group as well. So that, we wanted to make sure we got feedback across the board. So we're getting really close to that. We're the next few months have that out. And we'll have a big event. You guys will hear all about it.
You'll hear all about it. I promise we're close. I know we're
really excited about it. And listen, it's going to be another way that we can help brand and unite and bring Northwest Arkansas together, right? And we're just one little pillar of that project.
I love that. We're very excited about it, guys. I promise we're close. I know that's one of the biggest things we always hear about. Stadium, real quick.
Yeah. So stadium, ongoing. We are at a really good place. Stadium. I think stadium will kind of tie in with funding and investment. I think it's kind of will in a way goes together. I mean, it's the biggest chunk of the project just because of what it is, right? As you can imagine. And so, man, the process of doing what we're doing is a long process, as we mentioned earlier, right? Warren has said, 3 to 5 years on a lot of these projects that he's worked on is very, very normal. We're
1 year in.
1 year in. Like, we're pretty accelerated and still completely on target to launch March 2026, which is what we've always kind of said, right? So we are margin full stream ahead. We always have to be really careful and confidential about our investor discussions. What we can say is they're all very positive. We have a ton of local interest in this. And also some folks that realize what Northwest Arkansas is doing from the outside that have reached out to us as well for opportunities to be part of the project. And so that's what's really exciting for us. And so as we build the visuals of the stadium and what that needs to look like, that kind of takes that to the next level in terms of, then it's the funding part and we keep kind of just moving forward. Remember, we're building it, flying it, operating and funding it all at the same time. So just keep reminding people about that process. And for a year, I couldn't be happier as to where we are.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And I think the message for people is, look, I know a lot of people always ask the question, they want to understand, to your point, like we there are things that we can talk about, there are things that we can't talk about. The important thing is, one, we're still well on track for 2026 and making this happen, which has always been the goal. Two is, I promise we've had really, really encouraging and promising discussions, and the interest is there. But three, and you've already said it, guys, this is such a process. And I don't think
it's a unique and different kind of project than anyone's ever been exposed to.
People like you and I that are soccer people that thought we knew.
Right.
It's a million, I know I'm hyperbolizing, but it's so much more of a process than we ever even thought.
Yeah.
And while that's a challenge and great, and timelines are like, whoa, okay, all right, we got our work cut out for us, but it's work worth doing, obviously. And so we are I think the great equalizer here is Mr. Warren Smith and his experience, and hearing from him, guys, we're so in a great place, in a good spot. And his experience coming and backing us in terms of leading us through this process.
He's had multiple successful projects that haven't had the fan and community engagement that we have already, right?
Exactly.
So there's so many positives to what we have here, but it's a different kind of project than anything that's happened in the state of Arkansas.
And I think that's the other piece of it too. Yeah.
So it's education and informing and market comparisons and all those things. So couldn't be happier about where we are, but it's a constant ongoing process. Right?
All right. So another question we get: season tickets.
Yeah. Tomorrow, just kidding. I wish. I'm ready. We're gonna hopefully that's gonna be something in 25 for sure. Not hopefully 25. It will be 25. I don't want to say exactly when in 25 yet. Early-ish in 25, right? Yeah, that's kind of what we're hoping for. But there will be an opportunity that'll be clearly communicated with notification well ahead of time, where people can go and get their name on a list, right? And that's what people constantly tell us. I want to put my name on that list. I want to be early on that list. And so we will heavily communicate that before it comes out with plenty of notice, and people will be able to jump on that. And so we, again, another reason that we keep feeling so bullish about the project is that we keep hearing in this question about how do we become part of this? How do we become season ticket holders?
And just to give you guys further context, that's very standard. Like that's very, very standard.
Seam-wise.
In terms of timeline, like the year before, very, very standard. Yeah. It's actually more rare to see it like more than that, given in terms of when that's available.
It's not really a benefit to doing anything now in terms of like, it's not like, we're not looking to raise money on tickets at this point. Like we just keep building this thing, keep growing the momentum, and at the right time.
But we appreciate the interest. We talked a little bit about ownership, but I don't think we need to go there. U20s, so going really well. Talk a little
next bit steps are, I think we kind of did a little bit, but I think that just now they're getting to their season, right? So they're doing their preseason, they're going to get their scrimmages. We'll have schedule posted. People can go watch them.
Yep.
And like that's pretty cool. Like you can start looking at players that potentially could become professional and they're college players down the road, right? Doesn't mean they're going to play for USL Arkansas. We hope they do, and that's a complete goal of ours to have homegrown talent. But we just want them to develop and play, right? At this point, and them playing together, playing against college students, playing against other MLS academies, and having that talent together is just going to elevate that whole program. So couldn't be happier with where they are right now.
Awesome. Well, man, I think we're coming up on, I think we've answered a lot in terms of what we're doing. We're continuing the work on stadium. We're continuing on the fundraising, building, flying, operating all at the same time, the plane.
Yep.
I think it was a great opportunity for us to come together, take a breath, take stock of what we've done and achieved together. And not just as a team, but again, with our community. I think the responses that we've gotten from you guys has just been, we knew that we had something, right? When we were excited.
Yep.
We never dreamed of the response that we've gotten already, again, without an official team name, the branding and all that stuff. And so it just gives us even that much more excitement and hope in the potential of this project. So, Chris, I really appreciate you coming on to the show. I know everybody else listening appreciates you coming on, and glad to hear from you. And we hope you enjoyed the conversation, guys. And we've done so much together, and this is just the beginning. We're just getting started. And so
thank you, Wes, for documenting the history here, right? I mean, this is part, like this process is about the history of the club. And so that's pretty cool, because you don't know what 20, 30 years from now, right? They could be documenting, looking back at like, where did this thing start? This is where it was. So no, it's amazing. Great process. And we're so excited for the community.
Perfect. Well, we hope you enjoyed this conversation. Be sure to turn in to the next episode of Pitch to Pro. Till next time, Northwest Arkansas.